Just recently, we went to San Francisco and visited super famous Tommy's Mexican restaurant. So we sat down with the owner, Julio Bermejo. He's also a beverage manager there. So his parents established that restaurant in 1965. And by the way, he's been working there since 6 years old. His knowledge is incredible. And Tommy's was named Top 50 Bars in the world. So you guys absolutely have to visit if you're in San Francisco. They carry over 325 brands of tequila. It has only 2 stations and they go through over 1,000 pounds of ice every day. 35 cases limes per week. And they don't even use garnish for their margaritas. So we asked Julio to make a Paloma and Tommy's margarita. So what you guys enjoy, give me a like for flying all the way to San Francisco. Make sure to stay until the end and listen his full story, how he created famous Tommy's Margarita.
The signature drink here at Tommy's Mexican Restaurant and the signature Dr. Kern Paloma. So first, we're gonna make 2 Tommy's Margaritas, one with Fortaleza Blanco, which is a Valley-style unaged tequila, and one with a vintage Jimador Añejo from 2006. This is the last Jimador made by the Mexican family, Romo de la Peña, before they sold the company to Brown Forman. And we're going to illustrate 2 extreme styles of taste in the margarita. One, lots of earth and vegetal tones, and the other one, lots of wood tones. And our Paloma will be made with Tapatio Reposado, and our grapefruit soda mixture is, like I said, it's essentially 90% grapefruit juice, it's 10% water, it is a little bit of salt and a touch of lime and a touch of agave. So we chilled our glasses, and the first ones will be the Fortaleza. Si lo pasas por este lado. And the Paloma is just the easiest thing in the world to build. All our proportions use 2 ounces, or all our recipes use 2 ounces, so really easy. And so here we're going to use just 2 ounces of Tapatio Reposado. Now I also added salt in my grapefruit mixture already. Now when you force carbonate juice, the beauty of it, it'll stay fresh for at least 10 days in our experience. Not in something this small, but if you use a 5-gallon, like a pony keg, you got at least 2 weeks, which is really great. You know, I'm not the biggest garnish fan because I'd rather squeeze the juice of whatever it is we use in the cocktail. But that's our Paloma. It's the Dr. Kern Paloma. And then again, watch the margarita. So with the Fortaleza Blanco, it's almost like a spiked lemonade. But then with Jimador Añejo, with vintage Jimador Añejo, not only is the color more intense, but the tannins and everything that brand new American oak barrel is giving the tequila really come out in the cocktail. It's almost like a gentle whiskey sour. And again, since we have the largest vintage selection of tequila in the world, it's also really a nice luxury to be able to make cocktails out of them and not just have to have the obligation to serve them neat. The guest here can enjoy them whatever way he or she desires. Welcome, I hope you enjoy. Thank you very much for coming to San Francisco in the Richmond District.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Cheers. You know, I always basically start out by saying the Tommy's Margarita never started as the Tommy's Margarita. First of all, we never called it the Tommy's Margarita. That was Dre Masso and Henry Besson. So the history is essentially, or the way that Henry and Dre get involved in the history is around 2001. We're traveling with the president of Mexico to the UK and to the EU for the president of Mexico to sign denomination of origin agreements with the EU and the UK. I was taken as one of the experts by the CRT, and my responsibility was to give tequila seminars to the up-and-coming bartenders of the London bar scene. And it was mind-blowing, the thirst of knowledge that they had. Now, when that happens, and these bartenders start asking incredibly great, complex questions, it starts to lead, the cocktail discussion for them in a different direction. What it meant for us was recognition by them that the style of margarita that we made, they would now anoint the Tommy's Margarita. It's a margarita that they make at this place in San Francisco called Tommy's. Now, what I did wasn't on purpose, it was luck. And most things are. A series of events, all predicated around the lifestyle of the agave plant, and this still occurs to this day, have always dictated supply and demand of tequila. And in such a glut, which we experience every 7 or 8 years, there's either a glut or a shortage, there was so much agave and not enough demand by tequila producers for it that people needed to find an outlet for the raw material. And so some people started making agave fructose and selling it exclusively to Germany and to very few what we call in the United States health food producers, right? So we started to see quote unquote natural tea companies jump on this little bandwagon of using agave fructose as a sweetener. We had no idea. Those were new words to us, back then, 25, 26 years ago. And slowly certain people also incorporated agave. But at that time it was 10 times more expensive than cane sugar, right? So it was still nowhere as expensive as a triple sec or a other orange liqueur, right? So it still made sense. Luckily today, with the usage not only of Tommy's Margarita, but the concern on some people for a low glycemic sweeteners, we can now buy agave fructose on the corner of every Western city in the world. But it was the addition of agave fructose and fresh lime with 100% agave that created the Tommy's, right? The Tommy's was never based on regular tequila, and it never had an orange liqueur, right?